First, a small apology that I haven't, again, managed to get my UFC predictions up in time for the event. I promise I'll do better next month. But let's look at last month and the Fighter of the Card Awards. I don't have any MMA stuff particularly to discuss, so this will be quite a short, more short than usual, because I'm literally just going to look at the 3 cards that happened in February. We've got one, it was Hendricks versus Thompson. What was it? Fight Night 82. And yes, I was going to give my Fighter of the Card to Mike Pyle. Although I think it is interesting to note that Stephen Thompson, who was on the main event, managed to beat Johnny Hendricks, and it was a finish as well. Bit surprised that KJ Noons lost. Ovin Sempriu and Rafael Cavalcanti went all the way to decision. And I think that's about all there is to say about that event, so we'll move on. The next one, Cowboy versus Cowboy. This was UFN 83, and this was Donald Cerrone, and he was fighting someone else whose nickname was also Cowboy, Alex Oliveira. And I said at the time, you know, Donald Cerrone is very, very talented indeed, and he's come very close over the last 2 years to getting my Fighter of the Year award. But when it gets to the topmost level, actually contending, he seems to fall flat on his face. It's a shame. It was a good card. Sorry, I am also a little bit distracted by the washing machine that's going. My washing machine literally shakes the house. I mean, it just physically rattles. It's stuck between the cooker on one side and the sink on the other. And so, as you can hear, everything literally just starts rattling. I'm hoping it's not going to rattle so much that eventually it reaches the edge of something and drops off. But anyway, this was a good card. There were several interesting fights on this card, and almost all of my favourites did well. We had Chris Camozzi, who won, beat Joe Riggs, and that was a finish, which is good. Derek Brunson, he won as well. That was a finish. Kawajiri didn't win, but he lost by decision. My Fighter of the Card will have to go to Donald Cerrone. He got a submission. I mean, I think it was expected. I do think it was expected. But there we are. I think that was the only one that there wasn't one more on there that I wanted to talk about now. So let's go on to the last card now. And this was the one that was in London, and this was Silva versus Bisping, and it was getting to the stage where it was almost an exhibition match. I mean, Bisping was the last big thing that didn't quite get there. Silva was the one who was there for a very, very long time, then abruptly fell off. And hasn't really recovered since. He's also getting older and has to learn that he can't play around like he used to, because that, as far as I'm concerned, is what cost him the match. It was a decision finish in the end, but there was some controversy late when I think Anderson Silva could have won and didn't. I think he thought he'd won. I think he thought that the fight had been stopped sort of right at the end of the 5th round. Really, he's got to stop playing around with people now, because he's a lot older than he was before, and you know, with all the issues about drugs in his past. He just needs to get on and behave. It was a bit, I feel it was like a gift to Michael Bisping, but there we are. I don't like Michael Bisping, so there we are. Gegard Mousasi did well. Tom Breeze did well. And Brad Pickett did well. So all of those that I sort of wanted to do well did do well. This was the one that I had issues with choosing who I was going to give my my fight of the night to, really. I think most of these were decision finishes, and I can't say that any of them really, you know, without a proper finish, were stand out from the rest. Right down at the bottom of the card, you had a few finishes. You had a submission and a TKO. I think I'm going to give it to Scott Askham, who managed to defeat Chris Dempsey. That was the only finish outside of the very bottom of the card. So I'm going to give it to him, but it's a little bit reluctant in that I don't think there was any huge sudden standout who it's definitely going to be him who's the sort of fighter of the card. So there we are. That is my fighter of the card for February. We're halfway through, well, we're almost at the end of March now, so you can expect the next one in a couple of weeks, and we already know that there is plenty to talk about because we've already had the fight with the next fight, so to speak, with Nathan Diaz and Conor McShouty. So there'll be a lot to talk about for the next month when I get around to doing that at the start of April. Until then.